Okay guys, in this video I'm going to be walking you guys through number 14, the chuck jaw. This part is in the regular imperial system, so we are going to be using the standard IPT. So this part we're just going to start on the XY plane, and it should be very kind of straightforward. I'm going to make some rectangles that look something like this, a rectangle on top and then a rectangle right here. I'm going to line up my rectangles together by center point, and then making sure that this lines up on the center line right here. And then I'm going to add dimensions to make sure that everything is in the right location. My overall dimension from left to right is 4 inches and 4.25 inches. And then this little nub that sticks out, that's 0.749, 0.12. All right. And then its overall height from top to bottom is 2.75. And this section here, and we're just going to go ahead and leave this like so, and I'll tell you why. And we're going to add this to be 1.75, and then the height right here, we're just going to kind of leave it a little bit large, and the reason why is because we're going to be cutting out all of that in a little bit. But let's go ahead real quick just to make sure that we're okay and we're not freaking out. Let's go ahead and put that in at 1. All right, so that's all of the dimensions that we need. Go ahead and extrude this by 1.75. Oops. And we're going to extrude this by 1.75 in both directions. It's symmetrical. And I'll explain that in the next sketch. So we're going to create a sketch on the XY plane. And I'm going to slice graphics, and I'm going to draw some lines. So the first line that I'm going to draw, I'm going to go ahead and draw it straight down, over, down, back, like this, down and out. Okay, actually I'm going to complete this shape like this. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be revolving our cutout. So the dimensions that I've given you, especially this 1.75 right here, that is important. So I'm going to line up this line with this. That gives me my overall position of where this center line is. So the center line is going to be 4.5 inches away from this surface right here, which is 1.75, and I'll just go ahead and put that in right there. Oh, it didn't do it. 1.75 away from this edge. And so once you have that, we can go ahead and continue dimensioning. I'm actually going to project my geometry because I didn't do that at the beginning, and I'm going to add the remaining dimensions that we're missing. This is 1. This right here is 0.31. And the distance from here to here is 4.69. So it extends into the part. This cutout here is also 0.31. And this is 3 inches. So once you have all of this, go ahead and finish your sketch. And what we are doing is we are revolving our entire sketch that we created around the axis of this line. This is acting as our axis, and we're cutting it out. So once we cut it out, we get the general shape of what we're looking for. The next thing that we need to add is this chamfer over here. Now what we do know about this chamfer is that it's not at a 45-degree angle, it is actually at a 30-degree angle. And it has a distance of 0.62. Now the way that Inventor works is it wants to know which angle or which surface are we measuring the angle from. We're measuring the angle from this surface and we're going to cut out this corner. So once you have selected that surface and that corner, you can go ahead and say OK. And now we can add some circles or holes right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a point and make sure that this point is, let me rotate this so we're looking at it like this. And this point is being measured from our right hand side. So we're going to select this line, and this is 2.5 plus 0.75, and that gives us our correct placement, and it is located right in the middle. So I'm going to use my horizontal constraint and lock that in. Once I have that, I'm going to go to hole. This counterbore has it's going to be a counterbore. This counterbore is a regular symbol hole with a counterbore seat. It is going through the entire part, and the size of this counterbore is 0.75. The depth of it is 0.81, and the actual drilled hole is 0.5. Once you have that, go ahead and say OK, and there we go. The second hole, which happens on this surface, actually starts on this surface. So I'm going to create a sketch on that face and put a point right here. I'm then going to dimension that. That's 0.75 away from the right hand edge. I'm going to line it up horizontally with this point. And then once I have that, I can go to hole, and Inventor automatically puts that hole in using the information from the previous hole. So go ahead and say OK. We have one last feature that we need to add, so I'm going to click right here on this surface, and I'm going to add a rectangle like this. Just a random rectangle. I'm going to line it up vertically to be centered in the object, and then dimension not from this bottom line but from this edge right here, and that is going to be 0.12, and its width is 0.752, and that's it. Go ahead and finish your sketch. Go to extrude, select everything. We are cutting all the way through this part, and you can see how it's cutting everything off. And if we look at it from the right or look at it from below, you can see that it's properly placed. Go ahead and save this part. Placing this view at a scale of 1 to 1 is perfect. It will fit on this just right. It might be a little bit tight with all of the dimensions that are necessary. So let's go ahead and double click on that and then change it to 3/4. Okay. This is in the regular imperial system, so we don't need to add or change any of the document settings. We can go straight to adding center lines and centerline bisectors. All of these are extremely important, and make sure that you guys always add them, because if anyone ever creates this in real life, they need to know that this part is or these are circular cylindrical holes going through the entire part. Okay, so once you have that, it is now your responsibility to go ahead and add the remaining dimensions. Make sure that you actually count how many dimensions there are on this drawing, There are quite a few, so make sure that you add them correctly. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.